Hey everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review 127. Today I'm going to start the first in a quick little series of 3 videos. I just got this Sid Saxon Signature Series from Griffin Games. It reprints some card games from Sid Saxon. The first one is Sleuth, and then I'll follow up with Monad and Venture. I'm going to go ahead and review all of them. I like some more than others, but I like them all well enough to do a review on them. So first let me show you how Sleuth works and then go from there. Okay, so Sleuth is basically kind of like Clue the card game. Okay, so players, what they're going to be trying to do is deduce what jewel is hidden or missing here. So you get 2 decks of cards. Each player gets a sheet off of this pad here, and they'll be marking down information as they learn more clues. The first thing you're going to do is take this deck of 36 cards here. There's 36 different jewels. They come in different colors, different types of jewels, different amounts. So you can see here we've got a yellow pearl pair, so there's 2 pearls. We've also got a yellow pearl cluster, which means there's 3. And then you've got solitaire here. So you've got a green opal solitaire. You might have yellow opals, yellow diamonds, red opal pairs. So there's all these different configurations here. So the first thing you do is shuffle these up, and then you're going to take one out and set it aside. Now this is the jewel that we're trying to figure out what this is. So each player gets a pad of paper here, and so they're going to mark down and sort of deduce eventually what this jewel is. So depending on the number of players, we're going to shuffle these up and then deal a hand, let's say, of 8 cards to each player. So they're going to go through and mark these off. So I'll mark down a yellow pearl solitaire here. So I'll find yellow here. Here's the pearls, and this is the solitaire one. You can see there's only one of them, so I'll X that off, and then I'll mark down that this is obviously not this card. So I'll go through my hand and mark all of these off that I have in my hand, and then there may or may not be some in the middle of the board. So maybe we have 3 in the middle of the board here. Everybody will go through and mark those off on their sheet, and then we're each going to be dealt a hand, quote unquote, of these sleuth cards here. These are sort of question cards. So each of us gets 4. And these are always going to be face up in front of the players like so. So we can all see the questions that we have available to ask. So on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to play one of these cards basically on another player and ask them a question based on the card. If you don't have any cards in front of you that you don't like, you can discard all of these and then draw 4 more. And then that's your turn. So there's a few different types of questions that we can ask. So let's take a closer look at these cards. So the most basic types of cards are only going to name one element or attribute of a gem. Now some of these will have multiple, or dual, I should say, attributes. So diamond clusters, that's, you can tell what type of stone it is, and then the amount. The cluster is always 3. So if we had this one here, we could say to Billy, let's say, I'll play this card and say, how many pearls do you have? So in the case where it only names one element, you could say, how many pearls, and they have to tell you how many. And then you're going to make note of that on the sheet here. Now it's going to be very important how you mark this stuff down. You're going to have a little section here for notes, and then you can mark down, that this card is in play, that it's not the card that you set aside, and then maybe who had it and things like that. So how you take notes is going to be basically the main key aspect of the game. You need to take good notes. You need to keep track of who has what, all kinds of good stuff. I don't want to spoil too many strategies, but poor note taking will eventually happen to be a loss. Okay, so if it has one type of thing here, you can only ask how many. So if I ask how many pearls, you just say, okay, I have 3 pearls or no pearls. Same with greens, how many green gems you have. They just have to tell you how many. Now with these other aspects here, like this one says green pears. So what they'd have to do is they have to tell you how many, but then they have to give them to you. And so then you can look at them and then go ahead and mark them down on the sheet directly. And so the other players can see how many they pass you, things like that. So the questions that other people ask, you're going to need to also pay attention to as well. And here's another example, diamond clusters. I ask Bob over there, how many diamond clusters do you have? And he says, okay, I've got 3. Here's the diamond cluster, so I've got none. And he gives them to you. So if there's 2 elements, you have to actually show the cards to the person. If there's 1 element, then you just have to tell how many you have. Finally, we have these free choice cards here. And these can be used either as a 1 element question, where they just have to tell you how many, or as a 2 element question where they have to show you, the actual cards. So I could use this card to say, Frank, how many reds do you have? Okay, I've got 4. Or I could say free choice red. So I could say, how many red diamonds do you have? Or how many red clusters, or how many red solitaires do you have? And here's another example here, free choice blues. You know, how many diamond blues do you have? Here's a free choice pairs. I could say how many diamond pairs, how many red pairs. So you're going to be taking and marking down all this information on here. And then if you're feeling frisky enough, you can at any time in the game, it doesn't have to be your turn, you can say, okay, I figured out what it is. Then you're going to go through here, you're going to circle the area that you think it is. This is always hidden, obviously. You circle that, and then you take a look at the card, and then you say, okay, I was right, I win the game. You show that you circled the spot on the sheet, and then show everybody the card. If you're wrong, then you put the card face down, you don't show it to anybody, and then you are somewhat out of the game. Now you still have to answer questions about the cards that you were dealt, but you're basically done. You're not going to win. The other thing that you can do is that on your turn, and it has to be your turn for this aspect, I can verbally ask any question I want of one of the other players. And then after that question, I have to make a choice. So you can either stop play and make a guess, or you can wait for your turn to ask a pointed question to somebody and then make your guess. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. This is one of them that I quite enjoy. Like I said during the walkthrough, you've got to really pay attention. You've got to take good notes. You've got to make sure that you take the correct notes. You can easily screw up. The one thing that people maybe get frustrated by is that if you don't have a good question that you want to ask, especially towards the game as it goes along, you may have 4 cards in front of you that, like, you already know the answer to these questions. You don't care about diamonds anymore. You know all the diamonds are out there. So then you're stuck discarding everything and then drawing 4 more, and you may not get anything good out of that. So that doesn't seem to happen. It's not too bad, but it is frustrating. It's frustrated me, and it's frustrated other players that I've played this with. But the game plays pretty quick. It's like 30 to 45 minutes. It plays up to 7. I haven't played it with 7, but I wouldn't really want to play it with any less than probably 4. 3 is a minimum of 3, but 4 and 5, that seems like a pretty good number. So yeah, it's a game I enjoy. It's quick, it's a filler, and it's, there's not really a whole lot of these deduction games where you can, just really put your deductive brain to work, and your sort of, process of elimination whole aspect to it. So yeah, it's interesting, and part of me kind of wishes that you could just play it without the question cards and you just ask questions without the cards. I haven't tried that. I think that might be fun, but the cards is also kind of neat too, because it kind of handcuffs you a little bit. So anyway, that's Sleuth.